Hello and welcome to another Tuesday at 2 with Revel Coach plus Jaime Weatherby. We are so excited to have Jaime with us. She is an avid entrepreneur and she thrives on building relationships with other driven business owners. You know, she went to Northeastern University. She has a master's in project management. She loves big picture thinking, and so does my dog. And by the way, she does so much with marketing and for her community. And I am so excited to be able to have her with us. I am Allison Nissen, one of the co-founders of Revel Coach, along with my sister, Marcy Stout. Jaime, welcome to our platform.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
Jaime, can you tell us a little bit about what you do in your marketing strategies?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a very comprehensive marketing company. We are a team of 8. We're a full female team, which I think is unique about us. And we offer website design, SEO strategies, and continuous content creation around social media, email marketing, and content writing. So our goal for all of our marketing strategies is how to build as much of a close personal relationship so that all your marketing feels as much like you. Whether someone was meeting with you in person or listening to a podcast of you, they would get a similar experience, vibe, information, and relationship building through all your online channels. And that's our consistent goal for our clients.
That's awesome. I do feel like that's so important because, you know, when you have a team of people helping you, they can see it from all different angles where you can see, is your social feed sounding like your marketing collateral, your email, and all that. And there's so many different mediums. So I'd love to dig more into that and how you go about doing it. But before we begin, can you tell us a little bit more? Because I know this used to be a little bit of a side hustle for you, and now you've grown the company to where it is now. I'd love to hear a little more of the backstory.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a journey. It's been a fun and intense journey. I think most entrepreneurs can relate to that. So I started my marketing side hustle. In truth be told, I guess in a personal way, I am one of those people. Northeastern, you mentioned in my bio, is a fantastic, very expensive college. So when I graduated from Northeastern, it was monopoly money in my head when I was going to college. And I was like, everyone has student loans. And I graduated and my student loans were twice my rent payment when I got out of college. And I graduated initially with a psych degree. And then I went back for my master's in project management. But what had happened is right after college, I just had hit a sticking point in my journey from college age kid to, you know, thriving adult, where I was stuck under a really heavy weight of all of those student loans. I was trying to figure out how to see my way out of where I was to where I wanted to be. And I think that that's kind of the mindset of any entrepreneur. I didn't know that mindset would serve me as well as it is now, but I tried to come up with creative solutions to build my world in a way that I wanted to continue to live in it and have a great time in it and not feel crushed under that monthly payment that I had. So I ended up actually getting into higher education, which felt a little bit like working for the enemy, but actually still had a great job and actually loved that job. So to be fair, it was a great environment, but it was better to be on that. They're paying me, I'm not paying them end of things. So once I was in that role, the cool part about working for a college is a lot of times there's something called a tuition benefit, where as an employee, you can go back for free. And the cool part about going back to school is that your student loans get put into in-school deferment. So as my opportunity, I leveraged working for higher ed, going back for a second degree as a way, honestly, to take a breather from that payment and think of what's my creative solution to get out of the situation that I'm in. And again, build the life that I wanted to have. And I think that's the vision. I have a vision for my world and I want complete control over it. And I think that's how people end up entrepreneurs in the first place. So with that, I tried a couple other businesses, started some things, but really dove deep into how do you build a brand? How do you build a business? How do you build it online? Because I was also still working full-time and in a master's. So my time for networking and things like that were pretty limited. So I ended up going down a very aggressive, deep rabbit hole on how to do that effectively. So I started building my business that way and falling in love with it and the strategy behind it and all those things. So I started in trying other things on, realizing that was where my love and passion was. So that's how Weatherby Media got started. And I launched doing that for clients on the side, where I was building websites and running ads and writing copy and doing all of those things. So yeah, so that's how it got started. And now we're a team of 8. So it's grown quite a lot since then. And there's been a lot of ups and downs since then, but that's the origin story.
Jamie, I love how it started with necessity, which is so often the case, but that you were able to create your own little empire, really. But I want to know how, when you were first starting out and it was your side hustle, how did you find your clients? How did you get started that way?
Yeah. Well, posting on social media, trying to figure out how email marketing worked, doing some Facebook ads, like that was my foundation. But I also leveraged things like probably many people have tried, used, or leveraged things like Fiverr, or there was Upwork. I forget, there was one other one I used that's no longer in business, but doing some of those where you can find subcontractors and people to help you with certain things. So I leveraged initially some of those. And then I had one networking group. Like networking and relationship building is, I think, always, it's a part of our marketing strategy. Even now as a digital marketer, I don't think digital marketing is something that is separate from relationship building. I think it's part of the process. So I found a couple groups that I really enjoyed that I could go to consistently around my work schedule. Had a lot of dentist appointments that justified my late arrivals sometimes when I was trying to meet people for coffee and build those relationships while maintaining my day job. But a lot of that, it was very slow. I mean, I think one of the things I've learned along the way is, or I'm trying to learn, I suppose, is patience. That, everything takes time, and especially when you're new in that space and you're just launching, like the grind of getting going, the momentum now is a totally different experience than the momentum then. But it was very focused on how do I build relationships, and then how do I stay in front of those relationships, and that's how I got the momentum going.
So was there a moment in time during that first experience where you're trying to be like, whether it's project-based work or finding clients and networking, was there a moment in time that you thought, I really love this space, I really want to do something on my own, and I know that this marketing and this media is really meant for Jaime?
Meant for me, totally.
Yeah.
So it's actually funny. It started with an unpaid experience. So when I was working for higher ed, my role there was all career advising. So I had launched a business around being a career advisor. And then I greatly appreciated a mentor and friend of mine who was a very successful entrepreneur saying to me, hey, you're trying to be a career advisor. And actually, I know people in this space that are very successful. So I don't think his advice was totally true, but it resonated with me, where you're marketing to people who are likely in an unemployed, or underemployed, which is why they would hire you. Once they have a job, they don't need you. That you're not creating this recurring revenue base, was basically his assessment of what I had built. And it was really good advice, because he's like, I know you're trying to pay your student loan payment, and I think this is going to be a grind. And I think it might be a hard type of business to build if that's what you're trying to do. So it was interesting because I had built that whole business, but in that journey, I built my website, I built a social media strategy, I built an ad strategy. I did a lot of learning, but then I lost the love of what I had built, because I could see his point that I don't think it was going to serve me in the way I wanted it to. But then my dad launched a business, and he called me and he was like, hey, I know you don't know what you want to do. I know you're trying to figure it out, but your website that you built was beautiful. I'm interested in running some Facebook ads. Do you think, while you're trying to figure out what you would like to do you think you could help me get this business off the ground and my online presence and all that? So I was like, yeah, sure, of course, I'd be happy to do that. So launched his whole online presence. And then I had a friend whose husband started a business who called me and was like, listen, I know you don't know what you want to do, but we could use some help when it comes to, we're thinking some email marketing. We want some social media stuff. We're also going to need a website at some point. Do you think you have some time to help us? So I had the third personal relationship ask me for that. And I hit a moment where I realized, I was like, oh, this could work. And it's fun. And the better we do, the better a job I do for my clients, the more successful they are, the longer they want to work with me. And it's a continued process. It's not a one and done thing. So I figured out that was the move. And it's been kind of an ongoing journey of growth and building and trial and error from there.
Well, it's great because it still kind of is in that career coaching, because when they're launching a business, they're basically saying like, I want my career to be in this new space and I want it to launch it here. But you having that branding and even the psychology background to kind of, what are the messages you want to do? How do you want to relate to, your
Yeah.
potential prospects?
Yeah, it's funny how sometimes in hindsight, right, all the things you do, you can see how they were puzzle pieces to put you in the primed position to get to where you are now. And I could never have all connected the dots into in hindsight. All the career coaching skills, invaluable. The psychology, the people skills from being able to elevate what we do, but also build really meaningful relationships with our clients to get them where they want to go. And then let me tell you, that project management degree also super helpful. Being able to tie in a bunch of creatives to move them in a direction where we complete projects on time, we don't miss deadlines, no boxes get, left unchecked. Having that, analytical side of methodical approach to creative processes have been, I think, I would argue, one of the things that our clients love about us the most, that we have both sides of things really well ironed out. And I would argue that's my psych matched with my project management experience.
And Jamie, you've mentioned a couple of times about building relationships. And, so tell me about the difference between like building a relationship, building a business, marketing. How does all that play in together?
I feel like they're all one and the same. And being authentic is the most important part, right? You don't want the business you're building to feel out of alignment with who you are as a person, and you don't want the messaging and who you represent yourself to be online to be out of alignment with who someone would experience if they end up on a call with you. So creating relationships in a very authentic way to be who you are and bring your best foot forward should get tied into your business and into your marketing. So the synergy there is extremely important, and they all support each other. When you really love what you do, building relationships with other people becomes very seamless and easy because they feed off that energy. Like, people want to be around people who are having fun. I was listening to a podcast and this line stuck with me where the person was saying, it's really hard to beat a person who's having a good time. So and I was like, that's really a great point. And I think sometimes in the entrepreneurial journey, you take this thing you love, and it's hard because sometimes you turn a business out of it. You have to remember how to bring that love and that fun back, because that's what makes you win the game and you enjoy the process. Like, it also makes you want to keep playing. So I found that line very impactful, and I've thought about it a lot lately. But I think that's where that authentic fun version is, where the creativity comes into play, and it ties into the business you build is something you enjoy. It's got to be aligned for who you are as a person. And then all of that should show up authentically in your marketing.
But so, it's kind of self-induced pressure when you're an entrepreneur, when you're working with a client, and we go from like all in, we can't wait to do this, to then all in stressed out, and you start feeling the joy because you're so busy and everything's so important.
Yes.
So any advice? So you lead a team. You said there's 8 of you on your team.
Yeah.
Any team builders or anything you do to kind of make sure joy is a priority and that your team is always having fun, your clients, it kind of shines through with the work with your clients. Any tips and tricks or advice?
Yeah, I'm really proud of and really love the way we've built our team and how we hire and how we support our staff. So our approach to building a team is, we have a team of 8. Not everybody is full-time. We have a lot of flexible opportunities, and we hire a lot of newer moms, or moms in general, that are still trying to balance their personal life with their work life. And, in all honesty, COVID, I think, promoted some of that understanding and balance and creating that. So I have a fully remote team, and I'm not going to lie, team building online is very tough. And it's interesting too, running a team of 8 where they all have relationships and they all work together. There's a lot of my business that feels invisible to me. It goes on behind the scenes, and it's not like I could see my team in a meeting in the conference room, or I can tell that someone's laughing and joking and showing, new baby pictures of who, their brother had a baby and now we're sharing pictures, or like what they did for their Halloween costumes. Like, those conversations, if I'm not in them, they're on a Zoom room and they are kind of invisible. But what we talk a lot to our staff about is how do you make this a meaningful part of your world while also having the other parts be a priority? And that's how we created our staff. So I know for our team in particular, they love the work we do. We are immensely supportive of everything else they have in their world. So we always say, like, how much do you want to work? Like, what's your minimum? What's your maximum? What's your target? And let's always try to keep you in that target range so that you're enjoying the work you're doing. And then we do team building activities during our team meetings. We do get together once a week. And when we're all in the same room, the energy is there. I do make sure we try them into problem solving and what's happening. We have on Slack an I'm awesome channel, or we're awesome channel. So whenever anything cool is, we put it in the I'm awesome channel so that somebody has an opportunity to talk about something cool that, they only they knew that happened with a client that they could share out with the team. So everybody gets that experience about the meaningful impact about what we're doing. So creating the meeting and knowing that we're a team that supports each other. And those are the things that I have found that have created better relationships with our staff, where they love working here, and they would say that. I know they would. We talk about it a lot.
Well, it really is just like being thoughtful. It's not saying I have a job now you're forced to do it and you kind of fit them into it. It's kind of working with them on what's going to make you thrive and what can you handle, can you not, and then just respecting everything about them. And I do think there's something, Alice and I also work with a lot of moms, and I feel like when a mom loves her job and is happy, everything else, or you could say, or loves her family, but everything falls into place because they feel they've got, the right, focus and connection, and, they just want to be seen and heard and celebrated and things like that. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Well, you get to express all parts of you, right? I think sometimes, a lot of our team. So I built this business. My first hire was my best friend from high school. And I got very lucky that a good friend of mine, turns out we are polar opposites. So growing a business together, actually, we complement each other very well. And I am immensely grateful for her. But I was at that point of my business has grown as a side hustle to be too big as a side hustle. I was drowning and also not big enough to take full time. So I was in that sticking point. I think a lot of people get there where you're just in this place where you're juggling one too many things. And I was at her house having a glass of wine, and I was like, something's going to fall apart here. It's going to be one of these. I bought a 3-legged stool. I'm going to fall apart. The business is going to fall apart, or my day job's going to fire me. Like, something's going to give here. And she, at the time, had just moved back to, I'm from New Hampshire. So I was at her house, and she just moved back to New Hampshire, and she was a stay-at-home mom. And she was like, you know what? I would feel like a better mom if I had parts of me back. And I feel like I got to enjoy what I was doing. She's also has her master's, like highly educated, career driven. She's like, I need those pieces of me back. And I think it actually will help me be a better mom and really enjoy my time with my girls, because I also got to enjoy my time with my adult relationships, doing things that are meaningful. So that's how she got involved working with me, and how I hired my first person. And that has been tying that meaning for her back into both pieces of her life. And from that experience with her, that's the model we've almost hired the rest of our staff on. And it's been really successful.
Jaime, that is a beautiful story. I love the idea that you're able to you're not just helping somebody, but you're giving them an opportunity, and that opportunity was one that could really showcase how you could develop your own business.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about sales. Like, how does sales and marketing work?
They're different. So we talk about this a lot. Sales, marketing, and business development are three very different things, but they all play off each other, and they're huge parts of each other's success. So when it comes to marketing, our goal is always to amplify and enhance the message and what any of our clients bring to market. So how do you message that in a way that your ideal client hears it, that it solves the problem and they know it solves the problem? You connect with them. It's the know, like, and trust. So for us, when we can build an audience, build that engagement, get that audience to start knowing who you are, liking who you are, trusting who you are, and they can see the problem that you would solve for them. That's all marketing, and that's all brand positioning and messaging. and all of those pieces of the puzzle. When it comes to the sales piece, that's the part that comes after that, is when somebody is actually interested in your service, it gets turned from marketing back over to the sales team. And the sales team is who really then closes the deal, talks to the person, makes that final, get someone to that very bottom piece of that sales funnel. And then
And-
business development is all strategic relationships. And I think that that is a huge part of effective marketing as well.
And then when you're working with your clients, do you stay a little closer towards the branding piece of it? Or do you also do sales initiatives too, sales tactics?
Yeah, well, we're pretty focused on content marketing. So we would say more towards that brand voice, the relationship you're building. And less like I feel like agencies, I wouldn't describe us as a marketing agency actually, but a lot of marketing agencies will have, a lead gen funnel pipeline based on maybe paid advertising and things like that. And I wouldn't describe us as that team. We're really trying to build like an authentic relationship with your email list, an authentic relationship with your social media. And the beauty of that is that somebody who knows, likes, and trusts you, that's followed you and gotten value from you, when they do come into a sales pipeline, they're a lot warmer. They actually want to buy from you. They're ready to actually buy. So whereas some of those, strictly lead gen type funnels, you'll end up with 30 leads, but they're relatively weak leads, right? The quality isn't not necessarily there. And I'm not saying that that's true across the board, but depending on their strategy, somebody that has been engaging with you for a long time through your content is going to be a lot more ready to, excited, and waiting to buy from you than somebody who just popped on a sales funnel and came, get added to maybe an intro call. But that's the second touch point they've had.
That's great. All right. So one of the reasons why we started this podcast, well, the original idea was because Allison and I would call friends to ask for advice on how to start a business. And that friend could be like an accountant or lawyer or marketing or something like that. And then we realized, why don't we just do something like this? And then we invite other people to join us. And now we start recording it on YouTube. So if you don't mind, we'd like to ask for some free advice.
Sure. Hit me. Happy to.
That was my introduction.
Yes.
So we kind of primarily like LinkedIn and Instagram. Well, Instagram and Facebook, we post kind of similarly.
Yeah.
And we do know that there's different audiences and different kind of strategies. So we try to have a little more creative, playful on Instagram, like the balance of business messages and things like that. And we do split some of it up in, announcing these, these podcasts. And then Allison has, she writes a lot of blogs, and then also our advisors write a lot of blogs in the health and wellness category. And then some sales, like maybe a program and then also some research. So we try to like balance those things.
Yeah.
Without, I know you can't do a full assessment in like 3 minutes, but what's like the kind of the rule of thumb with how many LinkedIn posts a day, a week or month, or like what's kind of the right number? And then what's the difference with Instagram? Like we have a lot of content and we're just experimenting with engagement.
Yeah, it's so funny. I would make the case it's less about the volume and more about the quantity. Like instead of putting out, I think a lot of people, when they see that, if you Google it, it'll say you should put on, 4 posts a tweet, like 4 tweets a day, and you should be posting 3 times a day on Instagram. And, sometimes when you try to hit that volume, the quality really reduces. And I think sometimes people really underestimate the value of also engaging on those platforms. So a lot of times we'll have clients that come to us and say, I want to do it all. I want to post on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I want to also have a Pinterest strategy. They plan to be on every single platform. The problem is that you're not going to show up on every platform to engage back with what's going on there. So when people really see very meaningful traction, it's when they put high quality information out, and then they do the things that they're supposed to do and engage with that. They engage with other people in their communities, high quality information. They comment back when people comment on their information. They'll, share their post up to their stories and exponentially expand who's going to see and engage with the content that you put the effort into creating. So I would rather see hey, we're going to do a 4 posts a week, 5 posts a week type strategy. We don't typically go less than 2 posts a week in terms of seeing any results from that. Typically a 2 posts a week, which is kind of our minimum for the most part. And then I feel like if you go up to 5, up a week, but then you do the meaningful stuff, which is engaging in those communities and actually leveraging that content in a meaningful way and making actual connections through social media. It's a lot more meaningful and you'll get way better results than if you decide, I have extra bandwidth or resources, I'm just going to blast out more information. You have to also be part of the community that you're building. And if you don't have the bandwidth for that, and you don't leave that space for that left over, then more content's not going to actually serve you, is what we've seen for results for our clients and ourselves there.
So you're suggesting that we follow, like, and comment on other people's posts
For
as
sure.
much as we may with our own.
Yes, absolutely. And you can be strategic about it. You can do it where you're going after other thought leaders in your industry and you find people that are, you know, paving the way and a step ahead of you, maybe, that you're trying to learn and grow with to engage with their brand. Because again, the whole algorithm's like this massive network. If you start liking, commenting, and building a relationship, it's going to possibly then promote some of their followers to see more of your content just because of that web of what the algorithm creates. So it's that, but then also you might create a partnership there where someone who it's, you know, it's like the giver's gain. I'm not a big BNI person all the time, but like that phrase is kind of true. When you elevate other people's content and you're commenting, you're supporting your community, they're way more likely to help you and support you and comment and like and share your stuff. So it's one of those things where if you show up and you actually add value and connect with and support your community, your content is going to get equally raised at the same time because people will do the same thing back for you. I think people forget that social media is meant to be social and they leave that element out of it. And then they're just like post. And we do it too, where we post on using an external software. Like we do use a scheduling tool, and I'm a huge fan of that because it helps you be consistent, and batching content and all that stuff is immensely like, that's the key to success on all of these things. Is take your time when you're in a creative space, bulk build your content, and then schedule it to go out consistently. But then you have to remember to real time go on and actually engage on there.
Yeah. Right after that trumpet horn from the scheduling app, it posted.
Yeah, and then you want to go and pay
You
attention, right?
gotta go on.
Yeah, exactly. So I love when it comes to working with our clients, the creating of the content of high quality content is a ton of work. It really is. So we love taking that piece off our clients' plate where we collaborate on the strategy. They share photos. We, know about what upcoming events they have or whatever's real time for them. We get all that information. We build all the content, but we always say that, the most important part of this is that you don't disengage because you have our partnership. We want to take this heavy lift off your plate so that it gives you space to then go on and also still be a human on the other side of that profile that people are actually connecting with and can feel is behind that.
Well, that was really quality free advice. Thank
It wasn't a hard number, and I don't think there is a hard number, but
no, I know. And we have, definitely have heard that philosophy. We've been fortunate to have this one company by our side leading us with our brand. It's done great. And then we've hired VAs and now we have these advisors. So now we have a lot of content, and I definitely hear I'm like coached by our marketing, quality, not quantity, quality, but I feel like we've got all this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's true. And people notice that, right? Like, I don't know. I follow pages that I'm like, I can see you all the time, which is great. The hey, I'm still here factor, a massive part of it. It's preventing people from forgetting about you. Like sales is that's where I love the intersection between marketing and sales. Sales is all about timing. Example of someone hiring us as a marketing company, someone might not be ready to outsource, or they just invested in a coach or something else where they don't have the budget, or it's not the right moment for them, but they're interested. If I can build that relationship with that person, convert them to our email list or our social media pages, and then stay in front of them, the hey, I'm still here factor, and continue to add value, then in maybe, 97 days, they're ready to hire somebody. We've stayed in front of them. We've continued to build that relationship, but you can do it in a mass way. I would never know in 97 days that it was the moment I should follow up and send that personal email, but you can stay in front of people in mass. And that's where I love blending authentic relationship building, but then being mindful of converting them into an online type of relationship, because that's how you can stay in front of people in mass and catch them in the right moment where you continue to add value and now they're ready to hire someone and you're front of mind for them. So you get to, all that work you put in to build that relationship comes to fruition, but maybe 9 months later. But that's what building a business and building a pipeline is all about.
Absolutely. Well, Jaime, this has been such a great conversation, and I really appreciate you joining us today. May I ask her to tell the viewers, what's the best way to get in touch with you if somebody wants to reach out?
Probably one of the quickest ways is to find us on social media. So we're at Weatherby Media at any of the social media platforms. So we're pretty consistent in our title there. But if you go onto our website, which is weatherbymedia.com, we also have book a call links and contact forms and all the stuff that they can find there as well if they're trying to make a more direct connection.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again for joining us. On behalf of my sister, Allison and I, we'd like to say thank you and have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It was nice to chat with you.